Here's Owen. It's his second day being alive. He didn't sleep very well. He wanted to eat all night. Didn't let mommy sleep at all. Owen. Hey.
Hey Owen, your birth story begins when Dad and I were sitting around for like a week waiting for you to join us because we thought you could come anytime, but you came 4 days late. We literally sat around for like a week just watching TV together, waiting for you. But then one morning, I just started having random contractions. They were really weak, but I woke Dad up at like 7 in the morning. They started at 4 in the morning or something around there, and he jumped up and he got excited, and he jumped into gear and got everything ready and called Grandma and Grandpa and told them what was going on. But then, because my contractions were so weak, it wasn't time to go to the hospital yet, so we really just sat around the house all day while I had these very faint contractions. At one point later in the day, there was a little scare that we had. I was concerned about something, so I called the doctor and they told me to go head into the hospital, and this was probably around 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And once I got there, they checked me and they said that I was definitely in labor, but that it was not progressing and that it wasn't time for me to stay yet. So they let me hang around the hospital for a little while and said, let's see if things happen in the next little bit, and if they do, you can stay, and if not, we'll send you home. And over the next little while, my contractions started picking up and they started getting more painful, but it wasn't enough, and they sent us home. But literally, as we were leaving the hospital, I started having, it was really hard. I started having lots and lots of pain. But on the way home, your dad asked me what I wanted to eat, and so I had Cafe Rio, and we went and picked up Cafe Rio, and I just remember sitting in the car the whole time thinking how crazy it was that I was just going to get food, and yet you were at some point on your way. So we went home and we ate, and I had to breathe kind of funny while I was eating because my stomach was tightening up so hard and painfully. And I remember talking to your Aunt Michelle over the phone while it was happening, and then after dinner it was getting painful enough that Dad suggested a bath. And so I sat in the bath, and all I remember is just time kind of slowly creeping by as things got more and more painful. And then I pretty much just laid in a ball for the next hour after my bath. And I was just ready for you to be here, but you weren't quite ready yet. So we decided that we would watch a movie because the hospital told us not to come back until that I was for sure ready to come, which they didn't really give me any indicators of when that would be. So I didn't know really when to go. So even though I was in lots and lots of pain and I probably could have gone in, I didn't know yet. So we watched the movie Elf. And during the entire movie, I just curled up into a ball next to your dad, willing the minutes to go by quickly so that as soon as the movie was over, I would call the doctor and ask her if I could go in because I didn't know yet. And it was a really long movie. That's the longest movie I feel like I've watched, even though it's just the 2 hours. But anyway, afterwards we called and they told me to come in, and there was a really big snowstorm that night, and the drive to the hospital felt really slow. But once we got there, Dad dropped me off, and I walked upstairs and into labor and delivery. And the nurses were pretty skeptical of me being there. They didn't think that it was time for me to be there yet, even though I was in lots of pain. But they checked me, and I just kept praying that they weren't going to send me home again, because I was so worried about having to go through that for another 5 hours. But anyway, they checked me, and then my water broke right afterward. And as soon as my water broke, she told me that I could have my epidural, which I didn't know it at the time, but it was amazing because then my pain was immediately gone. And after that, after the epidural, they propped me up in pillows. This is at like 12 at night, maybe. We got to the hospital at 11 p.m. And by midnight, they propped me up in pillows and turned off the lights, and Dad and I tried to go to sleep, which is funny because I didn't sleep that much. They kept coming in to turn me over and prop me different ways because they were worried about you for some reason. But anyway, at one point, the nurse came in rushing. She came rushing in frantically because she didn't tell me why, but she was worried about you. I guess your heart rate was dropping. And I was having continuous contractions that wouldn't let up. And so right after she came in, there was about 5 to 6 more other women that came in, 5 other nurses. And I'm guessing they were like a specialty team, or I don't know, but they were really worried about you. And so they all came in together. And it was kind of scary for a little bit because I didn't know what was going on or if you were okay or not. But she checked me, and it was because you were coming very, very quickly. And that's why your heart rate was dropping, is because the contractions were pushing you through too fast. So they called the doctor, and she got there pretty quick. And as soon as the doctor was there, they had me push a few times, and you entered our world. It was all very surreal. They plopped you on my chest. You were screaming. You looked alienish. But then you calmed down and you stopped crying pretty quick. And it didn't take you very long to want to eat. That was the first thing you wanted to do, was to eat. And so you and I got to hang out together for the next hour while you ate. And we took your vitals and we did all of that fun stuff. Dad's kind of freaked out about the whole umbilical cord thing, so he didn't cut your cord. But he watched you be weighed and to be bathed and all of that fun stuff. You didn't give us very much sleep the first night. I told Dad to sleep, so I guess he did, but you just wanted to eat all night long. I just remember you waking up over and over again, like every hour. And you gave me a good run for my money for probably the first, 9 months of your life. But we all got to hang out in the hospital together, and it's a very special, sacred time, at least to me, as we enter parenthood and as we welcomed you into the world. And we're doing this later now, 2 years later, but you've really changed us, and we love you lots, and your personality, and we think you're pretty cool. So yeah, that's your birth story. Nothing very crazy, but it made a profound change in our lives for the better, and we love you lots.